What if one reckless night didn't just ruin a relationship, but exposed a secret so disturbing it could follow someone forever? Because according to Blueface, that's exactly what happened, and the truth he's now hinting at has left fans stunned, confused, and completely divided. Sources say this wasn't supposed to be anything serious. No emotions. No expectations. Just one night that should have stayed private. But instead, it allegedly turned into a nightmare that Blueface claims he never saw coming. A moment of trust, followed by regret, fear, and silence. And when the dust settled, he says he was left questioning how everything spiraled so fast. What makes this even more explosive? The people closest to the situation aren't showing sympathy, they're laughing. Yes, while Blueface hints at facing one of the most uncomfortable situations of his life, someone from his past is publicly clowning him, turning a serious allegation into viral entertainment. Fans are now asking, was this betrayal, karma, or a calculated move for attention? Did Blueface get played behind the scenes, or is he only revealing part of the story? Because if even half of what's being whispered is true, this scandal could change how everyone sees him. And we're just getting started. To really understand why this situation has exploded the way it has, we need to look closely at who Blueface is, and why every move he makes instantly turns into a headline. Blueface built his name as an unapologetic, controversial rapper who never shies away from chaos. From his offbeat flow to his unpredictable behavior, he's always branded himself as someone who doesn't care what people think. But behind that tough, reckless image, fans have long noticed a pattern. Messy relationships, public feuds, and a constant need to live his personal life out loud. Whether it's music, love, or drama, Blueface has always blurred the line between reality and spectacle. Over the years, his career highs have often been overshadowed by his personal choices. Instead of focusing solely on music, his relationships began stealing the spotlight, especially his highly publicized, emotionally charged relationship with Chrisean. What started as chemistry quickly turned toxic, becoming one of the most talked about celebrity relationships online. Breakups, reunions, screaming matches, viral clips, it all played out in front of millions. Fans watched as love turned into resentment, loyalty into humiliation. And even when they officially separated, the emotional tension never really disappeared. Every interview, every post, every live stream felt like unfinished business. Now enter Nevaeh, a name that until recently wasn't widely known, but suddenly found itself dragged into the middle of an already explosive narrative. According to Blueface, what happened between them was brief, unexpected, and never meant to turn into a public scandal. He's hinted that this was a one-time encounter, something casual that he believed would stay private. But that's where the story allegedly takes a dark turn. In recent appearances and online conversations, Blueface has suggested that this encounter didn't end the way he expected. Without initially naming names, he began posting cryptic messages that instantly raised eyebrows. One post read like a warning rather than a confession, hinting at regret, poor decisions, and consequences that couldn't be undone. Fans immediately started connecting the dots. Soon after, Blueface went live, visibly frustrated and emotionally charged. While he stopped short of giving full details, his tone said everything. He spoke about trust, accountability, and how one decision can follow you longer than you ever imagined. Viewers noticed his body language, defensive, tense, and unusually serious for someone known to joke through controversy. Social media did what it always does, it exploded. Screenshots circulated. Old clips resurfaced. People began analyzing timelines, matching dates, and replaying interviews frame by frame. Some fans claimed the signs were always there, pointing to earlier posts where Blueface hinted that his personal life was out of control and that he was dealing with something he couldn't talk about yet. Meanwhile, Nevaeh remained mostly silent, which only fueled speculation. In gossip culture, silence is never neutral. It's interpreted, twisted, and turned into its own narrative. Was she protecting her privacy, or was there something more she didn't want to address publicly? And then, like clockwork, Chrisean re-entered the conversation, not with sympathy, not with concern, but with mockery. Her online reactions didn't go unnoticed. Laughing emojis, sarcastic comments, dismissive energy. Instead of offering support or staying quiet, she appeared to treat the situation like entertainment. Fans were shocked, not because it was out of character, but because of how personal and serious the alleged situation was. This reaction split the internet in half. Some people believe Chrisean's response comes from deep emotional wounds, years of chaos, betrayal, and public embarrassment finally boiling over. Others argue she crossed a line, turning a sensitive issue into a joke for clout and attention. As for Blueface, his image began to shift. The loud, careless persona suddenly looked more vulnerable. This wasn't about music beef or relationship drama anymore. This was about responsibility, consequences, and credibility. People started asking whether this was a cry for sympathy, a strategic distraction, or the beginning of a much bigger truth finally coming out. And the most unsettling part? This was only the surface of the story. Because the more Blueface talked, the more it felt like he was holding something back, something he wasn't ready to say yet. And in the world of celebrity scandals, when the truth comes out in pieces, it usually means the worst part hasn't dropped yet. As the story continued to unfold, fans began piecing together a chronological timeline, and that's when the situation started to feel less like random drama and more like a slow-burning scandal waiting to explode. According to Blueface's own alleged timeline, everything traces back to a short window when he was publicly detached, emotionally distant, and seemingly reckless. During that period, he hinted at being off track, posting vague captions about poor decisions and consequences that couldn't be undone. At the time, fans brushed it off as another cryptic rant, nothing new for someone known to stir chaos online. But weeks later, those posts suddenly hit different. Blueface allegedly began confiding in people close to him, claiming that a brief encounter had spiraled into something far more serious than expected. He didn't go public right away. Instead, he tested the waters, dropping subtle hints during lives, half-statements in interviews, and emotional pauses that made viewers lean in closer. It wasn't what he said, it was what he didn't say. Then came the shift. During one live appearance, Blueface reportedly spoke about feeling played and misled, suggesting that trust had been broken on a deeply personal level. He stopped naming names, but fans already had their guesses. The internet began replaying old footage, comparing timelines, and pulling archived screenshots that suddenly felt like puzzle pieces clicking into place. That's when the betrayal narrative started to form. On a personal level, Blueface appeared to feel exposed, claiming that a private moment turned into a lifelong consequence. Morally, fans questioned accountability on all sides. Was this carelessness? Was it deception? Or was it simply two people making reckless choices and blaming each other afterward? Public perception shifted fast. Some supporters flooded his comments with sympathy, saying no one deserves to go through something like that publicly. Others weren't buying it. Critics accused him of deflecting blame, pointing out his long history of chaos and impulsive decisions. One popular commentator even questioned whether this was damage control disguised as honesty. And then came the fan reaction storm. Twitter threads exploded. TikTok breakdowns went viral. Reaction videos analyzed every facial expression, every pause, every sentence. Some fans claimed Blueface looked genuinely shaken, not acting, not exaggerating. Others argued he looked calculated, controlling the narrative before anyone else could. Behind the scenes, rumors started circulating. Anonymous sources claimed conversations were happening privately, phone calls, heated arguments, and tense exchanges that never made it to the public eye. Allegedly, there were disagreements over what should be shared and what should stay private. And when privacy failed, embarrassment followed. Meanwhile, Nevaeh's silence became louder than words. No direct response. No denial. No explanation. Just absence. And in gossip culture, absence often fuels speculation. Fans filled the void with theories, some sympathetic, others harsh. Was she protecting herself? Or waiting for the storm to pass? Then came the moment that reignited everything. Chrisean Rock reacted. Instead of staying out of it, she allegedly mocked the situation online, laughing, dismissing the claims, and turning the alleged pain into viral moments. The reaction felt cold, even cruel, to some viewers. To others, it felt like long overdue payback after years of humiliation. Her response layered the betrayal even deeper. To fans, it felt like public humiliation stacked on top of private pain. Blueface wasn't just dealing with a personal crisis. He was being laughed at by someone who once stood beside him. That contrast intensified the drama and shifted the narrative from scandal to emotional fallout. Public figures began weighing in. Some urged accountability and privacy. Others warned against weaponizing sensitive allegations for clicks. One influencer summed it up bluntly. This isn't entertainment anymore. This is real life with real consequences. And yet, the story kept growing. Every reaction added fuel. Every comment sharpened opinions. Blueface's image continued to fracture, caught between victim and villain, honesty and manipulation. The audience couldn't agree, and that uncertainty kept them watching. By this point, one thing was clear. This wasn't just about a one-night stand. It was about trust broken, reputations damaged, and truths revealed in pieces. And when a story is told in fragments, it usually means the most explosive part hasn't surfaced yet. As the scandal continued to spiral, the real consequences began to surface, and this is where the story stopped feeling like internet drama and started looking like a full-blown personal collapse. First came the social fallout. Blueface's name, already tied to controversy, suddenly became associated with something far more serious. Brands that once overlooked his chaotic behavior grew quiet. Comment sections shifted in tone, no longer just jokes and memes, but heated debates about responsibility, accountability, and truth. Fans who once defended him blindly began questioning whether his public persona had finally crossed a line he couldn't joke his way out of. What made this hit harder was the hypocrisy narrative forming around him. For years, Blueface had publicly embraced a reckless, no-rules lifestyle, but he also repeatedly demanded loyalty, honesty, and respect from the women in his life. Now, critics pointed out the contradiction. How do you demand trust while living carelessly? How do you claim betrayal when your own history is filled with broken boundaries? That contrast became impossible to ignore. Privately, according to people close to the situation, the emotional toll was heavy. Blueface allegedly became more withdrawn, less playful online, more defensive in interviews. His tone shifted, anger mixed with anxiety. Instead of controlling the narrative, he appeared to be reacting to it, constantly one step behind the internet's judgment. Then came the family impact. While details remain private, sources suggest that those closest to him weren't thrilled about the situation becoming public. Concerns about reputation, long-term consequences, and future stability reportedly caused tension behind closed doors. What once felt like just drama now had real-world implications: health, legacy, and how his story would be remembered. And looming over everything was the legal and reputational risk. Even without formal action, allegations of this nature carry weight. Commentators warned about how quickly claims can spiral into defamation debates, forced clarifications, or strategic silence. Every word spoken publicly became dangerous. One wrong sentence could shift sympathy into skepticism overnight. Meanwhile, Nevaeh's continued silence became a defining factor in the fallout. The absence of a clear statement created a sharp contrast between public image and private behavior. On one side, Blueface appeared to be slowly unraveling, hinting at consequences and regret. On the other, the person at the center of his claims remained unseen, untouched by the spotlight, at least publicly. That imbalance fueled frustration. Fans demanded answers. Critics demanded proof. And the longer the silence lasted, the more people questioned whether the full truth would ever come out. Was this a case of someone protecting their peace or avoiding accountability? Then there was Chrisean Rock's role, which added another emotional layer. Her mocking reactions didn't just embarrass Blueface, they reframed the entire scandal. To some viewers, her laughter felt cruel, almost vindictive. To others, it symbolized years of pent-up resentment finally spilling over. But either way, it highlighted a brutal contrast. Someone once deeply involved now watching from a distance, seemingly unaffected by the wreckage. That contrast hurt. It made Blueface look isolated, surrounded by noise, judgment, and ridicule, with no clear ally in sight. The tough, unbothered persona he once wore so confidently now seemed fragile, cracked under pressure. Public statements didn't help much. When Blueface spoke, he sounded cautious, even conflicted. He emphasized consequences, lessons, and mistakes, but stopped short of full accountability or clear explanations. Viewers were left reading between the lines, trying to decide whether this was growth or damage control. And that's where the emotional stakes peaked. This scandal wasn't just about what allegedly happened. It was about identity. Who is Blueface when the jokes stop? When the cameras move on? When the narrative is no longer entertaining, but permanent? The gap between who he presented himself to be and what was now being exposed felt massive. Loud confidence versus quiet regret. Public bravado versus private consequences. By this stage, one thing was undeniable. Even if the full truth never comes out, the damage is already done. Reputations have shifted. Relationships have fractured. And the image Blueface once controlled so effortlessly is now shaped by doubt, contradiction, and unanswered questions. And the most haunting part? Scandals like this don't end with clarity, they end with memory. And once the internet decides how it remembers you, there's no undo button. Wow, what a roller coaster this has been. From a shocking one-night stand to alleged health issues, public humiliation, and social media chaos, Blueface's latest scandal has truly left fans reeling. We've seen the emotional toll, the fractured relationships, and the dramatic contrast between public bravado and private consequences. And with Chrisean Rock stepping in to mock him publicly, the stakes and the drama couldn't be higher. Now, we want to hear your thoughts. Do you think Blueface is genuinely sharing his truth, or is this just another calculated move to grab attention? Was Chrisean Rock justified in mocking him, or did she cross a line that made the situation even more personal? How do you think Nevaeh's silence plays into this unfolding story? Is she protecting herself, or is there more we haven't seen yet? The big question remains, who really holds the moral high ground here? And with so many unanswered details, one thing is clear. This story isn't over. There are likely more twists, confessions, and reactions waiting just around the corner. So drop your thoughts in the comments below down arrow. Share your opinions, theories, and predictions. Do you think this scandal will define Blueface's reputation, or will he bounce back stronger than ever? And don't forget to like this video.